Okay, welcome to Feature Fridays. My name is Guy Bartram. I'm the Director of Product Marketing for our cloud providers at VMware. And today I'm joined by Bhaskar and Amit. Guys, welcome. Let's start with a quick round of introductions. Bhaskar, why don't you go first?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Bhaskar Gupta. I'm working as a Senior Technical Product Manager for VCPP. And I'm working on the products like VMware Cloud Provider Lifecycle Manager and VMware Cloud Director. Happy to be a part of this session.
Thanks, Bhaskar. And Amit?
Thanks, Guy. I'm Amit Vijayanand, so I am a Product Marketing Manager in the Cloud Infrastructure Business Group at VMware.
Awesome. Thank you, Amit. And today we're here to talk about Lifecycle Manager, the cloud provider version, not the VCF version, and talk about how the new version of Lifecycle Manager is supporting more solutions for cloud providers, has a kind of nice new UI and various updates on it. So why don't we dive into this? Bhaskar, I believe you got some slides you want to show as an introduction, and we'll do a demo.
Sure. So thank you, Guy. And we'll start with Amit. Amit will give us a quick introduction, and I'll go deeper dive on the product features, followed by a demo. Amit, over to you.
All right. Let me start sharing. This is 1.4 that came out in the last week of October, Lifecycle Manager, and from the previous version 1.3, we've come a long way in terms of adding new features and making this more relevant to providers. So there were a lot of feedback from the field talking about the various inclusions of features and the capability from the GUI itself. Right. So we've included all these things, and let us just get to where we began from. So it started a couple of years ago, almost same time, and then it was initially we were having LCM as a Docker image. And then it went on to become an appliance. And then in 1.3 is what actually kicked off. We introduced a stateful a tool. It became more stateful, and we introduced the GUI. And also we introduced various features, including including adding data center operations apart from just the deployment. So in 1.3 we could manage the deployments, but it was not from the UI, but we had to do it through the API appliance, right? So in 1.4, it's been a lot of gaps have closed between the API and the GUI, right? So the UI is more powerful. It's become more the experience is more friendly. People can manage a lot of tasks and functions and operations from the UI itself. And it's a pretty simple image, as Bhaskar will demo in the later stage of this session. So you can see it's fundamentally a three tab deployment where you have registration, you have environment, and administration, right? So to start with, on a higher level, we have given some UI enhancements to support the day 2 tasks, which was not there in the earlier version. We can actually manage certificate management, node management, and all the day 2 tasks there, and also run concurrent tasks. That is the parallel task execution, which has been which is a new addition again. So let's just get into what we have introduced. So fundamentally, we can classify these features in 3 buckets. So one is the simplified operations. Next is the enhanced delivery time, that is through the parallel management. And then we have the improved troubleshooting, right? We've introduced some portability and interoperability matrices right from the UI itself. So first, let's get into the operations, where we have included the day 2 operations, where we can create we can do product upgrades and certificate and node management tasks from the UI itself. There is no requirement for the users to get into the CLI and every time to get into the API and then manage it. We've given it directly through the UI. And next is the discover function. So on every registered product, we do have in the action tab a discover, where we can actually see the components and the other products that are there in the estate to actually register that on CPLCM. So this makes it very easy for the product registration, where it automatically discovers the already deployed environment. This can be used as this is a very important step in the brownfield management. Before, we were only focused on greenfield, where we could handle new deployments, but in this, we've given a chance where the already deployed products can be discovered and be registered on CPLCM, and the registration process is quite straightforward. There's a few inputs that need to be filled in with, of course, with a unique product ID, and then we can later on register and put in the admin rights and passwords and whatnot. So those are the UI inclusions where we talk about data operations and brownfield environments. And then next is the supportability, right? So in the 1.3 version, right, what happened was we had only one log file. It's a huge log file where people had to, if something went wrong, people had to go through everything of it in that one huge file. Now what we've done is we've actually cut it down to each subtask. So every task that is triggered on VCPLCM has its own log file generated. These can be seen from the administration tab that's been introduced. So administration is one tab that we've introduced in the UI that makes it pretty simple for the users to go and check if there's something's wrong, or fundamentally improves troubleshooting there. So each log file has its own task. So we've subtasked it so they can go in any step and download this and upload on the UI itself. And one more thing there is the availability of the support bundles right from the UI. So you do have the log files and the support bundles, which can be obtained from the UI itself. So people can just download the support log files, upload it, or download the support bundles right from the UI. So these are the two main things that's been introduced in the administration tab on the UI. And next is the parallel task management. So before, we could only manage one task. That is, if we are deploying two VCD instances, we had to wait for one to get over, and then the next would take over. So in 1.4, we've made parallel execution concurrent tasks that can run. This can handle concurrent tasks. So if you want 2 or 3 VCDs, you can download it or deploy it together, unless and until there is no dependency on each other, right? So if there is no dependency, this can handle. And one caveat there, what we recommend is that it has the number of parallel tasks is only tested up to the number of cores that is available. So if there are 5-10 cores, we don't want them to go beyond this.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so when we look at this, then in like a high level summary of what's available in 1.4, the big ones, the big ticket items are the ability to discover brownfield environments. So right. What is already there, it's stateful, so it keeps that between the releases of different products, and that's going to be great as well for then discovering what's there and then overlaying data operations like certificate management and things like that. So very, very operationally handy. Troubleshooting, that's cool. So basically you can use these bundles with our GSS team and just send those off, and that would be a nice kind of mechanism to make it easier to do troubleshooting. And then obviously the speed utilizing parallel processing, great advantage. That's going to save a lot of time.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. And further going, we can get into the demo and Bhaskar will take us through the hands-on labs where he shows all these things. Over to you, Bhaskar.
Yeah, thank you, Amit, for giving us a quick introduction. Let me share my screen real quick. So, for people who are not aware, or I would say about this VMware Cloud Provider Lifecycle Manager earlier version or the architecture. So this is what is the architecture. So on the left-hand side, we have got a provider orchestration, which manages the deployment of SDDC and cloud provider stack. And in middle, we have Cloud Provider Lifecycle Manager repository. So this is the repository which is very crucial. The reason being, for example, if you are trying to deploy any product or upgrade a product, then what happens is all the product binaries needs to be copied here, and so as the update bundles and so on. So this can be NFS or it can be in a local VMware Cloud Provider Lifecycle Manager host. And there's a folder structure which needs to be followed, and we have a nice document which talks about how to create the folder structure. And on the right-hand side, we have got VMware Cloud Provider Lifecycle. I mean, we have got these products which can be deployed, like VMware Cloud Director, we did Operations Manager Tenant Tab or Chargeback, and we have got Usage Meter, RabbitMQ as well. Now, you must be wondering, why do we need to create this folder structure again and again in this, VCPLCM host, and then copy the binaries? What if we miss the permissions and so on? So I have a good news for you. Till 1.3, we had to do this manually, but from 1.4, whenever you deploy VMware Cloud Provider Lifecycle Manager 1.4, this directory structure is taken automatically. It creates it for you. All you need to do is you need to download those product binaries from Cloud Provider Lifecycle, I would say from VMware site or download.vmware.com, and you have to just copy it in the respective folder. And then we have interrupt bundles. So whenever you download or install any interrupt bundles, which is associated to a new version of the product, so that folder structure for the new product gets automatically created. You don't need to go to the CPLCM host through Buddy and create that. So it does it for you. All you have to do is just copy the binaries over there. So that's the level of automation which we have introduced with 1.4 as well.
Hey, Bhaskar,
now,
quick question there. So does this handle, obviously you got like the major product versions, but there's a lot of dot releases as well. Will this handle that?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And as Amit was talking, I wanted to stress a bit more on the product deployment stages. Why? Is that, for example, if you see on the left-hand side, we have got a registered data center. So when I'm showing the demo, you can correlate what I'm saying. So the data center component have been introduced with version 1.3. Or yes, with this, what we do is that you need to have vCenter, NSXT, or VDOPS. So this data center components are not managed by CPLCM as such. So what we do is we register them so that it can be integrated for further use. So in the UI, this is a mandatory step. It was earlier available in API as well, the concept, but in the UI, for example, if you want to deploy a product, so first you have to make sure that, let's take an example of VMware Cloud Director. So first we have to make sure that we register vCenter first. So when you're deploying VMware Cloud Director later, you just point it to the vCenter where you want to deploy, without which it won't let you deploy any product. So this is a mandatory step. And this is purely needed for integration purposes as well. And so as NSXT and VROPS. Next, as I said, using this, you can create an environment or deploy a product. And the validation and view running test was also available earlier in API as well, which is still available. We still provide Postman collection with 1.4. It's up to you whether you want to use API or UI. But I would say with UI, we have enhanced the input validation, when you can see all the granular tasks, what's happening, where it failed, and so as the running task as well. So for each task, we have got the log bundles, as Amit mentioned. So it makes your troubleshooting a lot easier with UI. Okay. And So simple product registration, or I would say import feature, as Guy, you rightly mentioned, this is one of the newly added feature which is which is available with 1.4. So the product import feature was available as earlier version, but we have enhanced a lot in 1.4, wherein through UI you just need to provide simple input parameters like just the endpoint. For example, if it's a VCD, the endpoint, username, password, and then it collects all the necessary information, and it makes your importing an environment a lot easier. So I don't want to go much deeper in this algorithm here, or I would say the flowchart, wherein for example, if you provide some of the input parameters, and by any chance you have missed some of the variables, like the for VMware Cloud Director, the host name or IP address or NFS share. In that case, it will allow you to import it, but later on it will tell you that the status is incomplete. All you need to do is go there, feed all those details, and then go ahead with the importing an environment or registering an environment. So I'm going to show you in the demo that will make it a lot easier for you to understand what I'm talking about. So all I'm saying is earlier it was a JSON file wherein you had to fill all those parameters, integration, host details, IPs, NFS details, and so on, and NTP, DNS details. But here you don't need to do that. All just 5 or 6 parameters is all is needed for you to import. And that makes your managing a brownfield environment a lot easier with VMware Cloud Provider Lifecycle Manager. So concurrent task execution is something, as Amit already said. So here we strictly rely on, the number of cores which we have, the CPU per appliance with CPLCM. If it's a 5 CPUs, which we have mentioned over there, so the concurrent task is 5. So there's a file called execution.max.thread.count. By default, it is made to 0. The count is 0. But what you can do is just go there and change it as per your convenience or how you have configured the CPLCM host. So I think that's enough of, the theory. Let's talk about, or let's show you a demo where I talk about this feature here. Okay. Just a moment. So I hope you can see my screen here, wherein I have, logged into VMware Cloud Provider Lifecycle Manager. So this is 1.4 version. So I'm going to quickly take you through all these tabs and just going to show you what's new here with 1.4. Okay. For example, if you see the environments, data center, task, and administration, these all tasks were available with 1.3 as well. So for environment, what you see here, so if you're not aware of creating a new environment or deploying a product, you can always go through the earlier video. So I'm just going to quickly show you. So you just need to click here, create, provide the environment details or JSON. So this is what we have introduced recently, when you can reset a form if you have a JSON uploaded, or existing JSON which you want to use to deploy the product. So you can just use it. And if you think that, okay, I need to, reset all the details which are provided, you can just click here. And the rest of the parameters is still the same. For example, so the data center. So if you see, you are able to see those data center listed. That's why, that's because we have got the data center already registered, and we have got 2 data centers. You just need to select and go ahead with the deployment. If I select here, then provide the configurations where you want to deploy the cluster, resource pool, data store, and data center. And under product, you can select what product needs to be, deployed or upgraded. And then the general configurations, if it's a VCD, for example, the version and so on. And so as the node details here, if you see, you can add nodes. Integration, if you want to integrate with VROPS or I would say NSXT, I'm sorry, the RabbitMQ, you can just do that here. Certificates, and you can add the certificate here. If you don't add a certificate, it will deploy VMware Cloud Director with self-signed certificate. And finally, complete setup. So this is where you can validate. As I was talking, we have made this tab a lot simpler. Once you click on validate, all those subtasks will be, or I would say the parameters will be validated, and you can see all those subtasks. If it's failed, you can see where it failed as well. And finally, deploy or register. Now,
Pascal, before you
yeah,
move on there,
me.
just on the version information, just two things kind of quickly. If you look at the product tab, when you select that and then go to this version ID, is this being picked up from the directory? And the second question is there any form of kind of backup checking or rollback capability if the deployment fails?
Yeah, so for deployment failovers, we don't have any rollback as such, but for upgrade, we have a rollback feature. Okay. So when we are doing an upgrade, I'm going to show that to you. We have an option to disable or enable rollback, but for deployment, we don't have as such. So okay. If it fails, it won't deploy at all. So that's the reason we didn't provide any rollback. So so no VMs will be created as such. Now, another thing to answer your question, how does this version come up? So here, so if you see, so one of this is the directory structure I wanted to show you. The session, we have to, it just creates whenever you deploy. So as in when we have those directory structures created and we have those versions. So for example, OVA and upgrade, and I've logged into VCD 10.4.0. So what happens is that the versions what you see here is nothing but the directories which are already created and the OVAs which we have already copied in the CPLCM host.
Okay. Okay.
So as in when we keep copying those OVAs and the directories gets created, so those versions will show up here. Okay.
Yeah.
And then complete deployment setup, as I said, it's pretty much the same. You can just register and download it as a JSON for further use. And here, so this is, we have already discussed in the previous videos how to create. So that's why I just rushed through it. If you have any queries, always feel free to reach out to us. Now, the new thing which is added is a register environment here. So, for example, environment 3, I'm just clicking. I just want to show you how simple it is. You need to just select the data center. And for example, this one, just selecting randomly the data store, data center, and click next. So what happens is that if it's a VMware Cloud Director, which you have already deployed but not used CPLCM to deploy, just want to import it and manage it as like a brownfield environment, as I was talking. Click here. These are the only details you need to provide. Product ID, it can be any unique ID, the version which you want to import. Endpoint address is nothing but the address by which you log into the VCD. Root password, admin password, database password. You can also hide those settings where you don't need to provide much of those details. And then, for example, you just click here, next. And once you click next, it will take you here. And all you can do is register. I'm going to quickly show you another setup which I have got, wherein I have done the first step. So what I did is that I went ahead and I clicked on register, provided the details here. So it just shows me incomplete. That means, and the product is VMware Cloud Director, and the version is 10.4.0, and we've got 2 nodes. So what do you do now? So what it means that some of the parameters are still missing. All you can do is click on actions. So even though it's incomplete, there are a few tasks which you can still do, like open. This feature will let you see, as Amit was also saying, you can have a glimpse of what all you have, it's already been configured, what all has been taken. So if you see, there are some of the nodes which it is able to fetch based on whatever I provided, the integration, if any, and then we have got the certificates if it is able to recover anything. Now, what you're going to do is, if it shows as incomplete, click on actions and complete registration. So it's that simple. It will now tell you that, okay, these are the things which are missing. NFS mount is not set. Primary IP, it's not set. Now, few of these details, vCenter password is not defined. So it doesn't mean that, there's something wrong with the import process. It just means that, and it can be one of the reasons that I'll tell you. So all I have to do is go to all of this section, for example, the NFS mount, and provide those details and so on. Like the see, the NFS mount was missing and I just provide. So as in when you provide all those details, I've got a separate video for import parameters as well. So I can share that with you. You can have a look at it later. And then go ahead with the nodes and, whatever fields it's missing, all the details. So later on, I got to know that, when I added the data center, some of the parameters were missing here. For example, in the network, I might have missed, see, the NTP and the DNS details were missing. That's why it is not able to communicate with the host and so on. So these are some of the useful methods where you can by which you can isolate the root cause of the issues. So here under environments, as I said, once you do that, all those steps, so it will show us as a complete here, or I would say okay. Now, apart from the registered environment and, or I would say importing an environment, other, tasks are like manage nodes. So these day two operations were available earlier, but they were only available through API and CLI. But now with UI, we have added this. So you don't need to go elsewhere. That's the reason here. So manage nodes, you can add or delete node here. And then, manage certificate. So this is the nice thing wherein you can, let me show you, we have a Cloud Director certificate here. So that was RabbitMQ. So under manage certificates, so what you can see here, all those console proxy, HTTPS, and, management and, REST API certificates can be viewed from here. And you can also see the validity. You can replace the certificate or you can download the certificate in a PEM format. Now, another thing which you can do is discover. So discover here, if you see, for example, VMware Cloud Directory, if I click on discover, so what it does basically, for example, if you have registered an environment or VMware Cloud Director, or you have deployed VMware Cloud Director a week back or a month back, and now within this time you have logged into VMware Cloud Director, and then you have changed the certificate, you have added more nodes and so on, right? But the VMware Cloud Director database and the repository is not updated with that. If you want to keep yourself updated or the repository updated with whatever changes you have done or you thought which you have done and want to keep it updated, all you can just do is discover. So it will discover all the changes what you have done and it will register here. Okay, so that your CPLCM environment is up to date. This has also been added here. Now delete. So delete is something, it doesn't delete the product from vCenter itself. It's the instance, I would say. It just unregisters the VMware Cloud Director or any product for CPLCM registry. So if you click on delete, so don't worry that, the environment will be deleted as well. It will still be there. It's just that the entry will be deleted. And all you can do is, if you want to re-edit again, just go ahead and register the environment. Now, these are some of the things here. And as I earlier said as well, you can just click open and have a glance on what all has been already configured and have a look at it and so on. Okay. Now, under environments, these are the things. And sort environments were earlier there as well. There's nothing new with it. And you can always download the product as a JSON or open VMware Cloud Director. This was also available earlier. Now, coming to the next tab is the data center. So data center still remain the same. Here, this is one of the first steps wherein once you log into VMware Cloud Provider Lifecycle Manager, add a data center. So as you can see, I've got vCenter, NSXT, VROPS, and other vCenter as well. So once you go here, the same thing, you can click on open and see what all configured, what all being configured, the network and so on, the data stores, resource pools. And then, under actions, again, you have got delete. So this won't delete the vCenter as such, as I said earlier as well. It will just unregister it. And edit is something I'm going to talk in a while. So discover is still the same. The concept is same. For example, if you have registered the vCenter and few more networks, resource pool or data center or data stores been added, all you need to do is click on discover. So what it will do, it will just, add those entries here. And then what you have to do is just click on edit, click next. And then here, apart from adding those new entries, you can also verify and edit the existing entries here. And if you see something being missing, you can always add it here. and modify that. So the edit operation is also there, so that you don't need to, if you are adding, if a new network has been added and you want to use that for a newly deployed VCD or any other products, you can just add that, discover that network, add it here, and then deploy the product on that network or use that network for that. So these are the tasks which are available. And the next thing is, download as a JSON or open vCenter UI. This was also, this two tasks were available earlier as well. Now, under task is something, as Amit was saying, for every subtask or task, we have got a log file. So you can just click on, for example, this one. So we can see the granular details here, like all the discover step and so on, which was earlier available, through API. But now we can check from here. And if at all it fails, you can see from here where it failed. And all the major subtasks can be viewed from here. And again, another thing which you can do is you can download it as a log file, or you can see like this and verify, and you can download it as a log file. For each task, you can do that. And coming to administration, we can download the log files here, and we can download the support bundle for VMware to troubleshoot, or it will give you a zip file that will contain all the log files. That includes, if you have come across any error issues or permission issues with the repository or any other thing, you can verify from there. And last but not the least, the interop bundle. So interop bundle is, as I was discussing earlier, it makes, for example, any new version is released wherein you don't want this CPLCM to be upgraded to make it compatible with that new version of the product which it supports. For example, VMware Cloud Director, RabbitMQ, or any other products. So that's why we have come up with interop bundle. So all you need to do is go ahead, download that interop bundle, install it, and that makes the existing CPLCM host compatible with the new product which has been released. So whenever any new product version which it supposed is released, we release an interop bundle along with it. All this while, what you have to do is you have to log into CPLCM host Vapari and run a script, download the interop bundle. But now we don't need to do that. All you need to do is, check the interop bundle here. We'll check whether any existing bundle has been, right now, since it's the latest version, we haven't come up with any interop bundle. If it is released or it is provided, then it will show up here. And then you can, download the interop bundle and update it. Another thing which you can do is once you have downloaded, you can just upload that bundle and install it. So for this to work, you have to make sure that your CPLCM host is able to reach download.vmware.com to download the interop bundles. So these are some of the major changes which have been included with 1.4.
Hey, Bhaskar, is there a way of doing that? Is there a way of doing the interop bundle offline in, where you haven't got connectivity to the outside world and you want to just download it manually?
Yes, you can do that. You can just download it manually, and that's where you can just choose here and just install it.
Cool. Okay.
So that's pretty much it. So what we are trying to achieve with this version and upcoming version is that, make your job a lot easier for management and deployment purpose as well. As you see, day 2 operations have been included. So as, registering an environment to support brownfield. And now, so the earlier what you have to do is go back and forth with, PuTTY and UI. But now all those tasks can be done from UI as well.
That's a quick question. I mean, if VCD, 10.5 comes out, the process should be that the service provider check for an interop bundle update before downloading 10.5 and putting that into the file repository.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
So that will make this, CPLCM, compatible with that version. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So CPLCM needs to always update to be ready for the next version. Okay.
Absolutely.
Another quick question. I mean, I can imagine this would be really useful in environments where you've got, like 10 or 12 usage meters, which is quite common. What's the communication required between CPLCM and the actual instances themselves for, for doing the actual upgrades and installs?
So basically, there are a couple of ports that needs to be opened. So we have got a documentation which talks about those ports. All you need to do is once those CPLCM, those ports are open, like, it will communicate with those, products, and then do the upgrades accordingly. And for few upgrades, as you discussed, it does, let me show you the upgrade as well here. So upgrade. So here, you can just select, as I said, 10.4.1 is available. Under advanced, we have this option, I think I missed. So disable rollback and delete the backup as well. So what it does, if you disable the roll, by default, it's enabled, for the, ease of upgrade. So what it does during a backup as well, it just creates a snapshot of the VCD or the product. If there is database associated with it, it takes a backup of the database. Post successful upgrade, it will delete the database backup as well as the snapshot.
Okay.
So sort of a backup procedure it does. So that's why we have got this delete backup here.
And that backup's held locally on the host of the VCD server, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got to make sure there's enough space for the backup and the binaries to be loaded on.
Absolutely, that's right.
Yeah. That's great. There's some really good features in here. I guess the question that will be on a lot of people's minds is, when are we going to be seeing additional kind of products being built in, and what's the roadmap look like?
Sure. So we have got some products in mind, like VCDA support and so on in the upcoming release. But we will be able to share more details after some time. We are planning to add more products. If you see, we started, as Amit said, we started with Docker image. Now we are at UI, adding so many features in that. So our main goal is to add more products to make, the lifecycle management of this rest of the products a lot easier with it.
Yeah. And if a service provider has got like VCF, then they can use the Lifecycle Manager to upgrade those components separately, and then use this to deploy the cloud provider components on top.
Exactly, that's right. That's what one of the use cases as well.
And is there any kind of interop check that is done between like the version of VCD that you're trying to deploy and the version of NSX that maybe SFD that maybe LCM from VCF has deployed? Is there any kind of interop checks that are done by the product to make sure they're compatible?
No, not at this version. I hear what you're saying. That's a good point as well. And we get this query a lot. So at this point, CPLCM doesn't do that, but we are planning that in future as well, to do more enhanced interop check across products and, for example, VCF as well.
Yeah, and alignment with the VMware validated solutions, I guess. Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
Okay. Cool, brilliant. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you very much for walking us through. I think there's there's definitely, it's come a long way. Actually, it's come a really long way. So it's great to see. And I look forward to seeing the future versions, Bhaskar. And like you said, if anyone's got any questions about CPLCM, they can reach out on the Slack channel. I guess that's probably the best place.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much, team. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.